The wind tasted like dust and regret. Jedediah squinted, his gaze fixed on the rough-hewn tracks leading away from Thorne's estate. Elara, propped against a gnarled juniper, winced as he dismounted. Her left arm was heavily bandaged, the sling biting into her skin. "They're heading towards Broken Ridge," she said, her voice strained. "The tracks are fresh, but only one rider." Jedediah nodded, the information confirming what he suspected. Thorne's arrest hadn't been a definitive end. He's been too careful, too connected to fall so easily. Someone was covering his escape, or at least, clearing a path. The boy said he saw them meet near the ravine, Jedediah recalled. Says the rider was wearing a dark hat. Couldn't see his face. The boy, a young Apache named Cale, had been invaluable. He's witnessed the meeting between the rider and a figure near the stream bed, confirming Jedediah's suspicions about a network operating beyond Thorne's opulent veneer. Blackwood claims he didn't see anything, Elara added, her tone laced with skepticism. But I'm not convinced. His family's history, it's more than just rumors of silver mining and misfortune. The silver button, recovered from Thorne's study after the brutal encounter, was a tangible link to the Blackwood name. It was a mark of the Blackwood Mining Company, a legacy tarnished by whispers of exploitation and violence against the local Apache tribes. Jedediah hadn't pressed Blackwood about it, not yet. He needed more than his sour-faced denials. "We're riding to Broken Ridge," Jedediah stated, his voice resolute. "Find that rider. Find out who's protecting Thorne." The ride was arduous, the terrain unforgiving. The sun beat down mercilessly, turning the desert landscape into a shimmering mirage. Elara's discomfort was palpable, but she didn't complain, her determination fueled by a shared sense of justice. They reached the base of Broken Ridge late in the afternoon. The towering rock formations cast long, ominous shadows across the valley floor. The air was thick with an unsettling silence. "The boy said the meeting place is near the old abandoned mine shaft," Elara whispered, stemming the ridge. As they approached the mine, they noticed signs of recent activity, fresh tracks, discarded wrappers, the faint scent of wood smoke. They dismounted, moving cautiously, their hands resting on the butts of their Colts. The entrance to the mine was partially collapsed, a gaping moor in the hillside. Jedediah peered inside, his eyes adjusting to the gloom. "Someone's been here recently," he said, his voice low. Suddenly, a voice called out from above. "Hold it right there, Marshal." They looked up to see three men standing on a rocky outcrop blocking their path. They were rough-looking, their faces hardened by the desert sun, their hands resting on their rifles. They wore the unmistakable mark of the Broken Ridge Riders, a silver horseshoe branded onto their gun belts. "We're not expecting visitors," one of the riders said, his voice cool. "Turn around and go back where you came from. This ain't a friendly place." "We're looking for a rider," Jedediah replied, his hand slowly moving towards his holster. "A man in a dark hat." The riders exchanged glances. "You're poking your nose where it don't belong, Marshal," another rider sneered. "He's helping Thorne." Tail's voice, small but clear, came from behind Jedediah. He had followed them, hidden amongst the rocks. The riders' attention shifted to Cale, their faces contorted in anger. "A savage boy. Should have left him back at the estate." Jedediah ignored the insult, his gaze fixed on the riders. He knew this confrontation wasn't just about finding the rider, it was about exposing the web of corruption that ran deep within Broken Ridge. "I'm warning you," Jedediah said, his voice hardening. "Step aside." The riders didn't move. The tension hung heavy in the air, a silent promise of violence. Suddenly, a shot rang out, shattering the stillness. Jedediah instinctively ducked, a bullet whistling past his ear. He returned fire, his Colt barking defiance. Elara, despite her injury, managed to fire a quick shot, distracting one of the riders. The ensuing firefight was short and brutal. Jedediah, with his experience and skill, quickly disarmed two of the riders. Elara, drawing on reserves of courage she didn't know she possessed, held her own against the remaining one. As the dust settled, the three riders lay wounded on the ground, their rifles scattered. Cale, who had remained safely out of the line of fire, approached Jedediah, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and admiration. He went their way, one of the wounded riders gasped, pointing towards a narrow passage leading further up the ridge. Into the mine he was waiting for someone. Jedediah, ignoring the wounded man, turned to Elara. "Stay here with the boy. Watch them." He started towards the passage. The passage led deep into the mine, the darkness swallowing him whole. He drew his lantern, its beam cutting through the gloom, revealing a network of tunnels and chambers. He found him in the main chamber, a figure cloaked in shadows, his face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. It wasn't the rider, it was Blackwood. "I thought you were safe in town, Blackwood," Jedediah said, his voice echoing in a cavernous space. Blackwood slowly turned, his face illuminated by the lantern light. His expression was a mixture of surprise and defiance. "You shouldn't have come here, Marshal," Blackwood said, his voice low and menacing. "What are you hiding, Blackwood?" Jedediah pressed, stepping closer. Blackwood smiled, a cruel and unsettling expression. "I'm protecting my family's legacy, Marshal. A legacy you can't possibly understand." Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows behind Blackwood, stepping into the lantern light. It was Thorne. "Hello, Marshal," Thorne said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Looks like you're just in time for the main event." Jedediah felt a chill run down his spine. He had walked into a trap, a carefully orchestrated ambush designed to end his pursuit of justice. He's surrounded, outnumbered, and facing a formidable enemy. He knew then that the fight for Copper Canyon was far from over. It was just beginning. He braced himself, his hand tightening around the Colt, ready for the final showdown. The darkness closed in, promising a violent and uncertain future,